Hello guys, I am Jens Bogren and we are here at my Fascination Street Studios with Bogren Digital to check out our latest Ampknob offering, the MLC S0100. Some of you may wonder, didn't you guys already release this amp? Well, we did release the MLC S0100 in a full amp suite with all kinds of controls, pedals, movable microphones, post effects, etc. But ever since, we've received a lot of requests for an Ampknob version, following our very popular format where you have just the one knob for instant, great guitar tones. So let's dive into this and see what we got. All right, so I have my DAW here in the background. I'm gonna show you a little bit how I use this. But first, this is the standalone version. It has some of the special features that we have on all our amp knobs. If you don't have them on your amp knob, make sure that you download the latest version. We have the riff recorder, which makes it really easy to jam with this amp and record at the same time. And then you capture the riff of your lifetime. You just press rec again. It will be saved on your drive as a WAV or an OGG file. If you press the folder here, you can see your recordings. There is also a metronome here, specific for the standalone version. It's a pretty advanced one. You can do all sorts of accents. If you check the link in the description, you will see a walkthrough video specifically about this. There's the tuner. It's also available in the plugin version, not just for the standalone. It's a pretty great one. Next, there is a cab section where you can select external IRs or choose one of the perfectly matched cabinets, modern and vintage. All of these, included anything that gets loaded externally, will have our own IRDX technology in action, which helps emulating the difference between an IR and a real cab. If you're curious about RDX and what it does, check out the link in the description. So beyond the modern and vintage, which I would say it is gonna cover 95% of your need with this amp, you can also load your favorite external IR, maybe something from Bogren Digital. Let's try the Pull Me Undies. Now I've loaded an external IR. You will see that here. It says IR instead of modern or cab 1 or cab 2. And then you can actually just step this through, like use the arrows to try things out. It's a really simple and fast way of trying out sounds. You should never do like I did now, solo listen. You should always listen to it in the mix. If you don't want to step through, you could also use the browser here to check it out. You can see which one is selected and then try something else. So a very, very fast and handy way of getting excellent sounds for your mix. Next here is the settings menu. And worth mentioning would be the gate, where you can set the threshold using the slider. Okay, so what about this amp? The Ampknob concept is all about one knob. It's supposed to be the most easy to use and great sounding amplifiers out there. This has been tuned to perfection by me in dozens of productions before we put it in here. And then it's just, you know, turn up the gain to your liking. This one here in MLC actually has 3 different channels in the one knob. You can see the LED goes from green to orange to red. That indicates the 3 channels of the original amp. You can also switch pedal on and off. It's basically a boost pedal. So in that regard, you have, yeah, pretty much like 6 sounds in here. 3 channels, pedal off, 3 channels, pedal on. And I would be bold enough to say that that's all you need. It's impossible to make this thing sound bad. So let's dive into my session here and see how we can use this in a mix, shall we? All right, so what we have here are a bunch of guitar tracks, some drums, bass. This is the promo song that we're using for the MLC amps. DIs, and on all of these DIs, let's check it out. Cool. So within these 40 seconds of music, we basically have rhythm guitars, pretty distorted ones, a little less distorted ones. We have a lead guitar, a solo guitar, and we have clean sounds here at the end. And they're all using this same knob. For example, for the first initial rhythm guitars, I'm using the full channel 3 here, pedal on. If I would take this down a little bit, you can see that I can go from pretty clean crunch all the way to really, really distorted sounds. If I turn the pedal off, pretty seamless movement. You can notice the switch between the channels, which is, I guess, pretty expected. But everything from really clean up to very distorted. Kicking the pedal and you will have even more boost. It's a very, very versatile product. And for these rhythm guitars, I'm also using the modern cab. If I would switch to vintage cab, it will sound like this. It's a little bit more sparkly sound in a way, maybe not as scooped as the modern one. And the power of having these two cabs is that if we mix them up a little bit, we could use for the rhythm guitars maybe one on the left and one on the right. I'm not doing this, I'm using the same for both here. But, however, for this lead guitar that comes in here in the intro, there I am using the second cab, and that way having two different cabs will make the lead stand out from the rhythms in a way that wouldn't be the case if I would be using the same cab. And normally I would want to have a little bit more smiley curve on the rhythm guitars and a little bit more like nosy sound for the leads for them to come out. You can hear that there's some effect in here. The Ampknob version of MLC does not have any effect. So for this one, I actually put on the full version. So I'm using the sound from the Ampknob, and then I'm using the full amp suite with only the effects, some reverb and delay active as opposed to effect here. So that's the full sound. Then to fit this particular mix, I have an EQ here to just make it sit in front a little bit. If we listen to the clean sounds here in the end, it's the same thing. It's actually overlaid. It's we have this little strumming going on, and then there are more like lead elements played with the clean. And the same concept applies. One pair would have cab 2, which is actually the ones that play the lead, and then the second one here, the strumming, would have cab 1, and that way they sort of have their own space in the mix in a really nice way. And both of them has no pedal and the green channel. I would say that the clean and crunch is a real strength of the MLC boutique amps, but fear not, they can do extremely distorted stuff very, very well. I would say that usually when you have a high gain amp, they usually would lack in the clean department. For example, you know, one of the popular amps like the 5150 or whatever doesn't really have a good clean channel. You would have to go to something like Marshall or Fender or something to get that. And on the other hand, a really good amp for cleans usually don't have a great distorted tone. But the MLC has really worked that out. So you do have great cleans and great distorted sound in the same amp. It's really like a Swiss Army knife of sorts. All right, let's check out the solo. It will be pretty similar, I think, to what I did for that intro lead. A little bit more boost, perhaps. Yeah, very tasty solo, by the way, featuring Roger from Catatonia on this one that he did custom for us. Same thing here. I'm just, you know, using pedal on, channel 3, the second cabinet here, the vintage one that I find to be very good for those leads. And then I did put this full amp suite, just the delay and reverb, more to show off. You can use whatever stuff you have in your DAW, basically. And just a little bit of a bump here in the low mids, I guess, to bring out those notes a little bit more. So that's pretty much it. You get a lot of sounds out of just one knob with this amp. One thing that I should mention is that we have focused on quality with this. The CPU load could be a little bit high for some users. And if that's a concern when you record or when you mix big sessions, you could go into the settings and change the DSP quality from high to normal. So if you run really dense sessions with a lot of tracks, or if you want to record with your smallest buffer for the fastest latency, it could make sense to use the normal quality. The difference is very small to the high one. And no matter what setting you have there, every time you bounce or like freeze something offline, it will use the highest quality. So that's it. Go and get your free trial now.